So I'm just stalling. Give me a minute. Here we go. I don't know what this is a reflection of. Hmm. I guess I didn't hit the button today, the notification button. I was just stalling, waiting for it to come on, but I guess I didn't hit it. I thought I did. But anyway, welcome to another episode of the Troy Graham Experience. Daddies Lounge number 25. That makes me 25 and 1. I had only missed one show since I started my new journey. One. Probably wondering what the hell was up with that mask. And you gotta excuse me for squinting today. My eyes are a little blurry. I don't know what it is, but my eyes are a little blurry. So excuse me if you see me like. And what the hell is up with that mask? You asking me? Communication. How do we get our point across? What we say, what we do. That's this, by the way. My stress reliever. I squeeze it and all that. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Sometimes it's, do as I say, not as I do. And sometimes it's what they see you do. When they stop hearing you is what they see you do, you know? And these are for us with children from any age group, from the youngest up to the oldest. Communication is the key. I found that out a little later on because I was going through something when I became a single father. So I had to learn. It was the time when I used to sit at my table with my sons after we go to the table, start from the beginning. Everybody would have something to do. I would cook, of course, and I would have one of them in the kitchen with me that night. And I'd say, "You see what I'm doing? I want you to do just that." Whether I was using the smokeless grill I had in my house, or whether I was using the stove in my house, I would say, "Do exactly what I do." Flip the. I would tell them, "You see the wings on the grill? I'm gonna set a timer for 15 minutes. When the timer go off, you flip it, and then you set the timer again for another 15 minutes. Then you flip it, and then we'll put the thermostat in there to see the temperature gauge in there to see what time, what's its temperature, 160 or something, whatever it is with chicken." So that child did that. Next child, he was responsible for the salad. Easy job. I got them the lettuce. I said, "You tear it up." Uh, I taught them how to use the knives I had in my culinary kit. So they had tomatoes, pick cucumbers, cucumbers. And honestly, I would do most of the cutting at that point because they were too young. But as they got older, I would say, "Okay, watch me." And that's how you do it. Don't cut your hand. The next one will make something to drink. Or he would set the table with the glasses. Yeah, they would set the table. They would set the table. And I'd really be the one cooking. So, and after that, I would ask them who wants to pray. And I learned as I went along how to communicate because I really entered into this thing blind. Not blind as in I've never raised anyone before, but three at once is a daunting task. You know, it is. Getting up 3 people to go with different personalities to get them on school at time, getting them dressed, feed them, and having a little fun with them before we start that walk up to the school. If it's raining, uh, break out them umbrellas and them hoodies, and watch out for the demons out there, especially those runaway pit bulls that would be. We lived in where people own their houses on that block, but 2 blocks up, right by the school, was the projects. So a lot of times, that's one. People's pit bulls and get loose. And the first thing a child wants to do is pew. So I taught them hold. If it's two of them holding my hand, I said hold the other one's hand tight, focus on me, and do not run. And I made sure to pick something up. I'll let pick something up, whether it be a broken fence, stick, or big ass rock, whatever the case may be. I'd have it on me. And so I would just walk, and I would tell them, look forward and walk. Don't look back at that dog, and don't you dare run. Right? Of course, I could feel them wanting to dart off, and I'd have to yank them back. Say, don't you run. Take your time. Take your time. I got you. That was another form of communication to control your natural instinct, control that initial fear. Because if they would have ran, it would have been hell because they're going to run in 3 different directions. And I don't know which direction this dog going to go in, but I had something for him. You get bold when it comes to your children. And so they learn that trait not to run. And other times when I want to scream my head off, sometimes I'm like, I had to sit down and find out. Let's get this thing from the bottom up, so I don't do something I'll regret, right? Because I was a disciplinarian, so I was like, after a while, I'm like, let me hear this out and see how. So I said, sit at the table, walk me through all this madness. And I'd be like, Daddy, this is what happened. And da 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 da. If you would have just listened, yeah, because sometimes I would yell and I wouldn't hear anything they had to say. Nothing. And they would get now, sit at the table, and then I tell them, talk to me. You're not going to get in any trouble whatsoever. We're not going to get in any trouble. All 3 of them. Same damn question. Like, no, you're not going to get in any trouble. They said, one, they look at each other, and then somebody would be like, well, if you would just listen. I'm like, who are you talking to? You said we weren't going to get no trouble, Daddy. You said you weren't going to get no trouble. I said, I know, man. So they'd be like, well, if you'd have just listened, we would have told you. We would have told you what happened in school or what happened upstairs, but you just broke our game. I said, well, I bought it, but that didn't give me the right to react like that. So I spent a lot of money buying damn video games. Really, I bought them used, but still, it's a lot of money. Keep breaking them until I learned it's more power if you take stuff away than if you just destroy it. Because what you what I was doing them teaching them that ain't no that the only way you can communicate is by destroying something. Until eventually I taught them about communication, about sitting back and reading the area, learning how to read a room, learning how to read people, and then having a discussion. De-escalate before you escalate, right? So over time, they caught on to that. They learned how to reevaluate things before they react. But it took time. That was my fault because sometimes as a parent, you're so angry, you're tired. You're very, very tired, and you overreact. You know, that child is like, that wasn't really necessary. They want to say that, but they're like, damn, he broke our game. Then I get it back for them, and they look at me with them big eyes. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. How long before you break this one, Daddy? I ain't breaking this one. And I never did after a while. I buy them. I tell them if they do good in school, at the end of the month, I get 3 games. Each of they're multiplayer games, though, so everybody could play at once. I got 4 controllers, right? So if I wanted to play, we could play, and they could only play on Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays for X amount of time. And well, let's do it like this. Once we cleaned up on Saturday, if it was pouring down rain or anything, I just let them play. I let them play, and I'll go up there and check on them. After a while, I'll be like, "Look, we gotta cut this off. I want to talk to y'all." I'm like, Daddy, come on! You said we could play. I'm like, yeah, but we've been on the game for 2 hours. Let's sit down, pause it, or whatever you gotta do. So let's talk. And I would tell them, you know why I don't let you play all day? Because, Daddy, we have to read, right? Yeah, that part of it, that you definitely have to read, but it's what you put in your mind. After a while, they started repeating it. We know is what we put in our mind, Daddy. What we put in our mind. So, what did you put in your mind with this game? Well, well, Daddy, it's a football game. Yeah, hmm violence, a whole lot of athleticism and violence. He's like, well, Daddy, you got boxing games. Touche. You sure you're 9 years old? Touche, touche. Yeah, but I don't play them all the time. You know. Yeah, Daddy, but this helps us because we play football. And I'm like, who are you talking to? Daddy, I'm telling you, this helps us. This gets us ready for football. I'm like, you're not even playing football. You're playing the game, man. What I teach, what I have you run up and down in the street, those drills, that's what helps you. That's why you're so in shape by the time you get to actual football season and other kids can't keep up with you. Yeah, because the coach always wonders how we're in so much shape. That's because I run you. But you don't hate it. You like it, right? Yeah, Daddy, we like, yeah. Sometimes, yeah. So that's another form of communication. Hmm. And then sometimes your children will communicate to you, and it saves you from that guilt from what you might have done. Because there was one time in school that the school called me, oh, we're going to call the police on your son. And I'm like, I'll be there. And so this little white boy that was our neighbor and my son's friend, his face was all red and he was over in the corner crying. I'm like, my son didn't do that to him. They like the best of friends. And I didn't even get a chance to talk to the boy. They wouldn't let me talk to him until his parents got there. I was friends with the parents. They lived directly across the street from us. You could throw a stone and hit their house. So when they got up there, when all the dust cleared, that's two. The mom said to me, you didn't do nothing to your son, did you? I said, nah, I'll take him home. He said, well, don't. He's not in any trouble. My son told me what happened. They were playing and they were doing the spinny thing, spinning each other around. And he got dizzy, hit his head on the table, and they wouldn't let him speak to explain himself. They just grabbed his son up and blamed him because, he white and he turned bright red and was crying and carrying on. So they didn't have a chance to talk. So your son is not in the wrong, which I figured because they play every day. When we live right across the street. One thing I say about your sons, they really get along with my son. That's his buddies. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I figured my reaction because of the police. They gonna call the police. My son was in there about to tear up the principal's office because he was mad, purposefully so. Uh, they told him they was gonna get him arrested and they're gonna take him out the house. All the stuff I found out after the storm passed, and he was scared. A little 9-year-old boy was terrified. Why you gonna do that to a child? Why? Why don't you just communicate with him? That's your job. Your teachers communicate with the boy. Yeah, but I'm lucky. That time I ain't disciplined him. That time, oh Lord have mercy. Because I would have held on to that guilt. I would have held on to it if I did. But I learned a lesson that day. Don't overreact. Don't do it. No, sir. Don't you do it. Right? Another way I learned how to communicate with them is just reward for work. If you do, if you get to a certain level at the end of, like, say, every week, you get this. At the end of the month, we could go here probably, right? Like, okay, at the end of every week, I require them to read so many books. Let's say three. And it could be comic books, it could be the Bible, it could be children's stories, just something. But let me see what you're reading first so I could approve of it, right? And all the other time, they at the end of the week, they're like, look, I read 5 books. I'm like, 3 of them were comic books, Bama. Come on, man. You know? So after a while, I'm like, y'all good readers now. You can't read any books that's under 30 pages, right? So I started reading bigger books and all that. Then they got on this thing in school where they had the reading challenge, and my kids would constantly win. Got to the point that by the end of like 3 months, they did like 100 books in 3 months, right? They got credit for that. They start getting on the honor roll, and man, I was so happy about that. Communication, baby, communicate, because they were already set up. They were already set up. But and there was another form, was just walking helped to calm the savage beast, as they say, because the supermarket was a mile away. I could have easily, but see, in order for me to get there, I'd have to take one bus from the city to the county. I wasn't trying to do that when I could just walk a mile on the back road over here, right? So what I would do would be like, look, y'all want y'all want Daddy to make y'all some tacos tonight? Yeah, we love tacos. Yeah, I'm like, good. Let's go to the supermarket. We catching the bus? No, we gonna walk. They should see their faces. But we gonna walk, Daddy. Or Tuesdays was better because it was Tuesdays. Popeyes had a special. The 2 piece was like $2 or whatever. So I'll be like, look, we gonna walk to Popeyes. I was a mile and a half from the house. No, mile, mile and a half probably. So they're like, we're gonna walk all the way up there? Yeah. And we could buy, how many 2 pieces can we get? So usually it was 4 of us, and I would carry like 15, maybe $20 on me. So everybody got two. So I think at the time it was $1.50. So $3, $3, that's six. $3, that's nine. $3, that's 12. Then everybody gets something to drink. And so, so by the end of and by the time I'm finished, there's about $15 I spent. And we got about 8 pieces chicken and biscuit. Everybody got one biscuit, and I would get some dirty rice, and then I order another two more 2 pieces, and then boys could eat. Actually, three. So that was my $20. That was my them boys could eat. They could eat. So everybody would get one piece, right? So in all, they really got five 5 pieces of chicken and 2 biscuits, right? Something like that, biscuit and a half, whatever. So, and I guess so I taught them about the honey and butter on the biscuits and honey and hot sauce on the wings, and they would just love it. And the fun part is they're like, "Oh man, we gotta walk back home." I said, "Yeah, you're gonna walk off all that chicken grease." And by the time we got home, them boys were good and tired, and they fought it all the way home from eating them damn Popeyes. I said, "Leave it out here. Don't bring it in my house. Leave that farting business out here." So leave that farting business out here. It's funny, but yeah. So I taught them how to just calm that savage beast in them. But by me walking them up there, not catching a bus, it taught them that sometimes you have to put that extra mile in to get where you want to go to get what you want. That didn't require any talking, just doing, right? Just doing. And then my favorite communication was the hide and go seek. It's this again. When I would tell them to, sometimes I would have to hide. Me being, and I was much bigger then. I was pushing like 260. I'm 200 now. 199, 200, but I was pushing like 260 back then. So I would go hide, and they would have to find me. So what I would do is pile up some clothes in the room and get my sneakers and put them up against it so they think, or my house slippers so they think I was in no clothes, and then they jump all on the pile. They're like, "Got you, daddy." Nah. And I would pull the sheets down under their bunk bed so they wouldn't think I was under there, but I was under there sleeping. Them Bammers never even thought to look because the sheet was black, so it kind of made you think that you were actually looking under the bed, but you weren't. You were looking at the black sheet. Would throw to a kid's eyes, you was looking under an empty bed because they'll till they caught on and I had to do something else. So they were like, "Where Daddy at? He leave us in here by ourselves?" They would. You know what those suckers did? They went to play their games right in the room while I slept under the thing. All I could do was smile. I'm like, well, I can still see them. I said, "You all some lazy suckers, man. Like, you was under the bed the whole time, Daddy? Your daddy all right. Your daddy needed some sleep. Your daddy tired." I said, he tired. He tired. Young suckers looked for me, though. They went all the way down there. At first, they were scared. They like, "We in the house by ourselves. Daddy left us." You're like, one of them was like, "Daddy," the youngest one was like, "Daddy would never leave us." The oldest one, like, "Yeah, Daddy ain't never gonna leave us." But the middle one, like, "You see him here? He left us. We got to call Mommy." "With what phone?" "Daddy got the only phone in the house." He got the only phone in the house, right? So, and then they sit around and have a discussion. "What we gonna do? Daddy ain't here. Well, we'll just wait till they come back. We'll play the game till they come back. He gonna get mad." "No, he not. We not supposed to open the door for strangers, and we supposed to stay away from the windows. Go check if all the doors locked." And they go downstairs, make sure the door locked, the windows locked, everything. And then I'll be like, "Look, I've been under here this whole time. Y'all did right. Y'all did right." They jump off their skin too when they see my hand come from under that bed. I'll reach out and grab one of them and pull my hand back, and they're like, "Did y'all feel that? Feel what?" And the next one will come and sit in the place of the other one, and I would slap him upside the head. It's like, "I just got slapped upside the head. And by who?" And he got all a little nervous. "There's somebody in here. There's something. Yeah, you felt it too, didn't you?" And he's like, then I was like, "You should have felt it." "Daddy, Daddy." They run out the room not realizing I am their damn daddy. It's me. And I'll be like, "Hey, hey, hey, it's okay. It's just me." Teach them how to be self sufficient. They're like, "Well, don't do that no more. You scared us." Yeah, and I won hide and go seek too, Bammers. They're like, "Man, how long you been under there?" I said, "I've been under here for about a good 20 minutes. How long you been playing the game?" See? Communication. I enjoyed them times and I could get away with that. And then there was other times when, like, I have one son who's autistic, so I had to teach him a little differently than his brothers. So I couldn't just say count to one, two, three, four. I had to use the utensils, like, to teach him actual math and how to count. So I would get forks, spoons, knives, whatever, the butter knives. And I'd be like, okay, he had a math problem that was 20 minus 5. So I would get, let's say, 20 spoons and 5 forks. And I would say, okay, take away 5. No, I would get a total of 20 utensils. And I would say, take away 5 of them. So he would take away 5 spoons and we put them off to the side. And then I would say, count how many are left. And he was like, 15. So I said, well, how much is 20 plus 20 minus 5? And he would look at me with this smile. And he's like, I said, it's right there. Count. You just counted them. He said, oh, 15, Daddy? Are you asking me? Or do you know the answer? He said, 15, 15. I said, yeah, that's right, man. That's right. You got it. You got it. I said, even if you have to use your fingers, you got 10 fingers. So that's 10. Put 10 more and then put down 5. Bam. What does that leave you with? 5. I'm like, no. 15. Remember? You counted 20 earlier. And stuff like that. You know, that's how we learn. The other two, I could drill it into their heads. So they were taught in school to learn one way. The schools taught him to learn like his brothers did. It didn't work like that with him. It couldn't. You know, like I would get them the same books. I tried to. And so I'd be like, okay, one night, one of y'all gonna read this much before we go to bed. The next night, one of y'all gonna read the same amount before we go to bed, and etc. etc. And that's how I would do my best to do it. When it got to the brother now who learned a little different, I would be like, okay, I'll make him go last on purpose because I wanted him to hear the words. So I said, okay, and then I would practice with him before bedtime. I'd be like, look, we practiced, right? Point, read me something, read me the first sentence. And he would read it. I said, you got it, right? Because you got to read it tonight. It's your turn to read now. And he'd be like, okay, I think I got it. Now, don't think, because it's time to go to bed. It's time to go to bed. So no. So he'd be like, okay, the light over the lake, the moonlight over the lake is beautiful, something like that. And he would repeat it so much that he could say it in his sleep, And then when they went to bed, I would make them listen to God is Good by Pastor Hart Ramsey. God's up to something good by Pastor Hart Ramsey and John P. Keith. Love that song. And then Nas, I Know I Can, and I'll let that play on repeat as they slept. So in their subconscious, they were internalizing it whether they knew it or not. They still know the words to both of those songs. That's just another form of communication. I had to play those songs because they needed to have a foundation and just know that they could do anything they set their mind to. Because I could constantly say it, but after a while, your voice gets deaf to your children. Your voice just gets deaf to them. So I had to find another way to communicate. And yes, there was the yelling and the discipline sometimes, but after a while, I was just like, there's got to be a better way of me doing things, man, because I'm getting tired, and I'm outnumbered. So yeah, when you get tired as you get older. They're getting stronger, you getting older. But one thing I loved about what we did was I would take them places. A lot of times we would hop on the bus. We had all day passes, and we hop on the bus. We go down to the park by the water, and we'd play catch. We check out the team. I forgot what this rowing team was called. It's not called the rowing team, but it was called. We'd watch them. You know, we just watch the water sometimes because it was so beautiful. And they learn how to just be quiet sometimes in their own space. And like say on the 4th of July, we would go up to the top of the hill at their school, and we watch the fireworks. And I would just ask them, "What are you looking at?" They're like, "Fireworks, Daddy." I'm like, "Yeah, but what?" And they say, "Well, it's supposed to be 4th of July. It's a celebration, right?" I'm like, "Mm-hmm." What they tell you at school that it was. That's how I know how they were coming along. But we would just watch the fireworks, man, because I wasn't driving to the city. No, not on the 4th of July when I could see it for free and we could walk the 6 minute home instead of me having to get on two buses. That's wrong. Yeah, I have to get on two buses and the light rail. For what? No, no. You sit right on top of that hill and watch it. And they learn how to appreciate stuff. Sometimes you have to let stuff build up and you appreciate it more than doing the quick thing, you know? The quick thing ain't always what's best. And that's something I tried to drill in their heads. They didn't really get the lessons till later on. But again, sometimes communication is interpreted much, much later, is grasp. You get a grasp of it much, much later in life than you do early on. And like my grandmother used to tell me, if you're not here, you're going to feel. So they felt a lot because they weren't listening. But if I love them, and I'm glad they survived all that to become good men who do great things. And I'm never going to stop saying that. Never. Never, ever, ever, ever. That's right. Hopefully this light is good because I like it in this spot. I've been two different places in my house, and eventually, when it's not so cloudy, I'm gonna go sit outside in my backyard if I could just find the right lighting. But when I come back, I'm getting myself another light for my phone, and a setup. And I'll probably get that camera I've seen people use, and I'll start doing that. And I have to teach myself how to do the whole bells and whistles thing. You know who's good at that? Mark Nash. Mark Nash and Brother Counterpunch are real good with all the bells and whistles and carrying on, right? They're real good with that. Yeah, I'm gonna work on that myself. I gotta teach myself how to do that. But I wish I had someone who could do some give and take with me on how they communicate because with their children. Because I'd love to get the knowledge. And after high school, I went straight to college. I would love to get that knowledge, share that wealth with others. Hey, share it with me because I was flawed as a man and as a parent. I wasn't perfect. I was flawed. So, but they grew up. They grew up good. They grew up good. You go through your pits. You go through your trials, and you go through your fire. And then if you survive all that, you got no place to go but up. So says the Lord. You know, no place to go but up. Ain't no going down after that. Mm. So you want it, you speak it, and you take the steps into accomplishing it. Period. No other way to do it. If you want it, you speak it, then you step into it. You step into it and walk a path, and then before you know it, bam, your words come to fruition. Bam. Is it that easy, really? No. Just ask Job. It ain't easy, but it will happen. It will happen. There we go. All right. So, today's Friday, free for all Friday. Like, we're only talking about, excuse me, communication. It's basically free for all Friday. I left the doors open, and the doors of the Daddy's Lounge are open for all that want to come in and debate, discuss, or just have a conversation. Having a bad day? Jump on Daddy's Lounge if you got something to say. Man, you angry at your kids and you're not in the mood to play, but you got something to say? Jump on Daddy's Lounge and give the pain away. Man, you know, you paid your child support, but they're still taking it out your check. Now you're wondering how you're paying your bills. Your mind is in a wreck. Jump on Daddy's Lounge and you know, get yourself in check. You might have backslid. You might have backslid, fallen down and wept. Man, jump on Daddy's Lounge and get and make the right steps. That's right. That's right. It's possible through communication and fellowship and all this and making the proper, you know, if they say that your attitude controls your altitude and the company you keep dictates your destination. So I tell you what, come to Daddy's Lounge. There's nothing but positivity. See, because right now, I just started. I just started, and it's just me. But in the future, I know there'll be others who want to share, and they will be right here. hmm That's the love, man. That's the love. The best way to deal with fools is to ignore them. So, yeah, there goes your attention. But I'm never going to stop doing this. I'm never going to be distracted. This is this is my brand here, my ministry, my drive, my therapy, all of that, all of that. And that's a beautiful thing. Also, now that I learned a lot by being on YouTube. I think I've been on here for about 10 years. That the people who come on your show and stay in the chat and never come on your panel or say anything to you because they lack the internal fortitude. You know, but hell, if I'm strong enough to come on here and talk for an hour and 35 minutes and no one's on here but me, that tells you something. That tells you I'm building and nothing will ever stop me. No insults, nobody with their criticisms, nothing. Nothing will stop me. You want to know why? Because I am the atmosphere and they breathe me. I don't breathe them. That's why. I'm rare air and they live in fear. Bars. Counterpunch. But anyway, what was I talking about? Communication? Let's shift to something else. I gave communication about 30 plus minutes. Let's shift to learning to love, man, as a father and all that. Let's talk about that because, it was men. We supposed to be, don't show no emotions and man up and, tears supposed to drop out our eyes. If we cut, we supposed to bleed. What kind of nonsense is that? No. So when you're with your kids, every now and then, let your guard down and let them see, the playful side of you, that big kid in you sometimes, Let them see it. Let them see it. Show them that you're vulnerable but tough. Show it to them. Show that side of yourself, and they'll appreciate it. Trust me, I know. I know. You know. So yeah, man. I don't know how many times I was in there with the kids, and that damn song with Jamie Foxx and the hell is that boy name? Blame it on the alcohol, baby. What's that boy name who sang that song? Anyway, then the video came and they were doing that dance. When the man, President Obama, the guy was President Obama in that video, was doing that dance. He pushed his head there and all that. And I pretended like I was doing it. Like, Daddy, that's not how you do it. And I said, no, this is how, look at him. Watch, watch. I taught him how to do it. I used to dance with Michael Jackson. I never meet Michael Jackson, but they didn't have to know that. I said, I taught Bobby Brown how to dance. They looked at me like, we all know that's not true. I used to dance with MC Hammer back in the day. I was one of his dancers. Hammer, Hammer, I am Hammer, Hammer. You're like, Daddy, we know you lying. Would you call your daddy a lie? Hmm? You said we wouldn't get in no trouble, Daddy. No, that's in the dining room. That's the living room. No, Daddy, you just said we wouldn't get in no trouble. What's wrong with you, old man? Okay, go upstairs and get your great granddaddy belt for that one. I'm sorry, Daddy. I mean it. You're still young. Mm-hmm. You're behind gonna be getting. But I have no problem with showing them different sides of myself. How else they gonna grow? They gotta learn it from us. They have to. They have to learn it from you. Show them joy. Show them love. Show them the frustration. Show them the patience. Let them know about your pain. Answer all the questions. Let them set a time aside to just ask. They can just ask questions like, Daddy, what were you like as a kid? Oh, I was the toughest thing on 2 feet, baby. No, I wasn't. I stuttered and I was just probably inappropriate with my bodily functions. You know, I can't come from the front of class, Miss Williams. Then when you get up, it's like, like man, I shouldn't have ate them prunes for lunch. You know, prunes and refried beans. Belly about to bust open. You know, it's not good, y'all. It's not good. And so, as the time goes on and 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 on, don't be afraid to take off the mask and show them your true self. Let me get close. Your true self. Let them see the whites of your eyes. This way they know you're not telling them no lie. They can come to you in secret and share. And you can show them that you really care. This is not cutthroat business. It's loving business and teaching business. This is real life, not a surprise quiz. Know what I mean? You have to be able to do things sight unseen. Awaken from your dream. Step into reality. And if you can't be great, then be good. And never fear being misunderstood. Just as long as you stand on your word and you repeat it enough time that it shall be heard. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world, I got 30 seconds left. And I'm going to bid you a fond adieu. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. So have a blessed weekend. Be safe, be purposeful, and prosperous. Okay? Love yourself. Love your loved ones. And just show love wherever you may go. You're worth it. You're worth it. You're worth it. You're worth it. The more love you show, the more will come back to you. Bless up. Oh, I'm just stalling. But not anymore. Bless up and big up yourself.